So welcome back to Pro 2 Honolulu 2012. Rich Hagen alongside Mr. Jasper Johnson-Epstein. Welcome along to the show.
Hi.
Your very first PT Pro 2, that's right, and winner of a PTQ where?
Chicago.
Okay, now Jasper's got a black zombie deck. Well, that's kind of how it is.
It's got some zombies. I think it's more of a demon deck than anything, though.
All right, so it's black. And
Yes.
you know it's black because here we've got some lands. It's a swamp, and 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 a swamp. 24 of them.
Thanks
That's
to
the
John
mana
Avon
base.
for best swamp.
Yeah, John Avon, pretty amazing artist
Yeah.
from my home country, of course.
Right? Yeah.
So let's take a look at the deck, and we'll start in casting cost order, and we begin right away out of Dark Ascension for Gravecrawler.
Oh.
What I guess this is one of the cards that drew you to this archetype.
It's an unbelievable card, right? Like, it's aggressive zombies. Like, most decks don't have the ability to play a bunch of 2-power 1-drops, so I've had some games go just one of those, 2 more of them, start attacking, like kill other guys. But the fact that they can't realistically kill it early, they have to just take some hits. It's just a really strong card, and it has combos with a number of things in the deck.
So it's a terrific start, still at 1, because we want to do lots of things at 1. Diregraf Ghoul. So we dial it back a set, we go to Innistrad, the uncommon, it's zombie again, enters the battlefield tap. Big deal or not really?
It is very much a big deal just because of this guy, the center point of the deck. But
okay.
That's caused a lot of issues. But he's best friends with Gravecrawler. He's a really good card, gives the aggressive starts. It's a nice thing to have.
Okay, so 8 zombies so far, but now this next card, we go to a different set again, Scars of Mirrodin, and this is a horror, 1/1, Fume Spitter, sacrifice it, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Now, is that -1/-1 counter specifically good in terms of undying? How does that work?
Very much so.
You've got things going on there?
These things turning on is quite nice. Like, it gives the deck a lot of reach that it doesn't necessarily have. Like, you don't expect a mono black deck to be able to kill you from so far out without attacking, but this guy and like putting a Mortarpod on him, basically this guy dying and then coming back and dying again is pretty strong.
So, there are our 1-drops. Now, we also get the chance at 2, even though technically it's 2 and, you know, could be a white mana, but it's always at 2.
I'll be paying some life.
I think you'll be paying some life for the Porcelain Legionnaire.
That's true.
First Strike is an ability that's awesome in limited, but increasingly, constructed standard play is about combat and combat math. So I guess First Strike's a pretty big deal for you.
Yeah, it's pretty good in this deck specifically because I have Mortarpods, Tragic Slips, Fume Spitters to even up its First Strike capabilities, but the main reason it's in there is because the deck has a lot of problems with Mirrodin Crusader.
Okay.
So without going into another color, this is a decent way to make sure they can't just start attacking you.
Because it is protection for your entire deck, isn't it?
Yeah,
Apart from...
kind of an issue, yeah.
Yeah. All right, now you already said it's the centerpiece of the deck.
Right there.
Skirsdag High Priest, 1/2, it's rare. It's a human cleric, so off we go through yet more
we got all the creature types, whatever.
Tell us what this does for you. Why is it the centerpiece of your deck?
Well, it's the centerpiece of my deck. Like the first thing I thought when Lingering Souls was spoiled is I wanted to play this card.
Okay.
And the reason I'm not playing Lingering Souls in this deck is because I didn't want to lose to Ratchet Bombs so hard. So I basically tried to figure out what the next best thing to do with this guy is. And this has a lot of very resilient creatures, a lot of cheap things, like things that you can sacrifice. So you basically can always turn on Morbid if you want to.
Yes.
And making demons is very good. Like this card is really difficult for Delver decks to deal with. Like, it shows up and they don't have a lot of ways to kill it, and at some point a 5/5 demon just blocks all their stuff. So.
And when we talk about demons, we're talking about 5/5 demons.
They're large demons.
These are big guys, well and truly.
Why settle?
Well, why settle? Indeed, absolutely. So if you're at your first PT, you might as well make them good demons, right? Now, Geralf's Messenger, one of the signature cards from Dark Ascension. We're back to the zombies, 3/2, it's undying. They take they take 2 damage, rather they lose 2 life, and then when it comes back with the undying, that's another 2. So I guess sometimes you can get people into a real bind with this guy where they have to kill it, they mustn't kill it, they have to kill it, they mustn't kill it.
I had the most interesting situation I've had yet with this card is a game where I had a Phyrexian Obliterator in play, and my opponent had copied it with Phyrexian Metamorph.
Okay.
And I also had 3 of these. So he attacked, I blocked, I sacked 3 of these. You know, he lost 6 life, went to 5, I top decked a Geth's Verdict, made him lose 1 life and his 3rd blocker, and killed him right then.
Wow, okay.
We've been sitting around forever, and then that happened.
So they're pretty exciting.
They have some upside, yeah.
And then, again, a card that was very, very good in Scars of Mirrodin, particularly for limited, Skinrender. The kind of better version of Farbog Boneflinger, it's fair to say.
Just a little better than that.
Just a little bit. All the numbers are a little bit better. Skinrender.
Double black is tough in this deck, I don't know.
Sure, I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe a 25th Swamp would have done it for you.
Yeah.
But put 3 -1/-1 counters on target creature, and then the king of limited, but boy does it pack a punch in Constructed 2. Bloodline Keeper, Vampire is the big guy at the end. Tell us why this is in the deck.
This, it's really nice. Like, flying blockers are actually quite good in this format. Like, there are a lot of tokens and stuff. Being able to make guys that fly is similar to having another High Priest active.
Okay.
So it's just a big threat. Up until quite recently, this was another Lashwrithe. But I think this guy's quite good. Like, I have just a mix here of the 4 drops.
He's won you games?
Yeah, he has. Well, he's certainly contributed.
Okay. So,
like, this card, being the 13th zombie, is quite nice for this deck, for the Gravecrawlers.
Yes.
And it also has a lot of synergy with Skirsdag High Priest. I like the Skinrender, but
for sure.
Anyway.
Let's move on to some spells. We go straight to what is undoubtedly one of the best constructed cards in Dark Ascension, Tragic Slip.
Terminate for 1 mana is pretty strong.
Yeah, they say linger on death's door and risk being invited in. I kind of think of this card as, oops. Like, oh, that's a shame.
Oh,
Tragic Slip.
there's a grave here. Whoa,
what was I doing there? What was I thinking? Well, what you were thinking is that your guy is dead.
That's true.
Dead. So that's straightforward. Geth's Verdict. It's one of those cards, you give them a choice. Well, sometimes you give them a choice.
We try to work on that.
Target player sacrifices a creature. So there are times when this is going to be disappointing, I guess.
That's true.
So why? You obviously love the card. You got the full 4 in the deck.
Yes.
So why is it so good despite the potential drawback?
There are a lot of hexproof creatures in this format that are quite good against my removal.
Okay.
And even though they often come with a bunch of tokens that are very good against Geth's Verdict, I have enough ways to deal with tokens that I can often grind them down and kill their hexproof creatures, which is the real problem, or a Mirren Crusader especially.
Okay.
But just the target player loses 1 life thing, having just this incremental damage, like this whole deck is sitting there and incrementally gaining value and damage out of your spell. So that it's a very nice spell.
Okay, so you talk of incrementally gaining a little bit. Here's a Mortarpod.
Mortarpod's pretty good with that.
1 damage, here we go, equip, stick it on a guy, off we go again. So 3 of those. And then a card that is a real kind of pile driver effect.
Yeah.
Here's my Lashwrithe, and it's one of those cards that really only you can run.
Yeah,
no one else in the deck.
That's why this is happening with the swamps, sure.
Yeah, we'll have just a straightforward 24, none of these namby-pamby dual lands running about the place, just straight up, +1/+1 for each swamp. By the time you get there, I guess you're around about +5, +6.
Something like that. It's been quite nice. One thing to notice about these cards, the living weapon ability is very strong with this because you get more creatures that you can kill at your leisure. Mortarpod Gravecrawler is certainly one of the combos in the deck that works against a lot of tokens.
Okay, now let me ask you more generally. It's a deck that, yes, in Dark Ascension, you look through the spoiler, you can see there are plenty of zombies around, but
they printed some good ones,
They printed some good ones, but nonetheless, you're at your first PT and you build a deck yourself. Now, was that out of conviction, out of choice, out of desire, kind of out of necessity? How did it work?
I wanted to do some testing for the Pro Tour, and this was a deck that I built that I thought it was pretty good, and no one dissuaded me. Like, it kept on being good. It had good matchups against popular decks.
Okay.
I didn't think anyone would be really expecting this to show up in a large quantity. So
sure, absolutely.
Celestial Purge is a very strong sideboard card against this, but
are they going to have
heavily
room for it?
Played.
Yeah,
there are a lot of other things that they're generally going to be playing. So they'll at least not be playing very many of those.
Now we know that you at home like to look at sideboards. We're not going to talk about it because we're still on day 1, but let's just run you along the bottom row. 3 Phyrexian Obliterator, couple of Mental Misstep, 3 Distress, and then we come past the Dark Ascension logo to double Black Sun Zenith, single Nihil Spellbomb, Sword of War and Peace, and the 3 Ratchet Bomb, very popular card during sideboarding.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's your mono black zombies, demons, human, cleric, vampire, soldier deck from Jasper. Can't thank you so much for joining us here. 4-1, a great start to a Pro Tour career. Not many people get that far first time. So we look forward to seeing that here on day 2.
I'm excited.
Until we meet again, I'm your host Rich Hagan, saying bye.